Hi Scorpio, welcome to your week ahead tarot scope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Scorpio, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your key to the week this week, you have the Moon card. Where is that blast from the past coming up? Or where is that deep introspective reflection that needs to take place? The Moon card has been very active this week, and it makes total sense because the Moon is going to be in its eclipse. It's going to be doing its eclipse thing this week. And I'm chucking them all over the floor. And the fact that the Moon is going to be doing that whole eclipse thing is kind of powerful, right? This is going to be the first one in the sign of Taurus that kicks off this whole Scorpio Taurus axis of eclipses for the next sort of 12 to 18 months. So it's going to be an interesting ride of it for sure. All right. And this is a big deal for you because these eclipses aren't just going to be affecting you. They're going to be affecting your relationships and stuff, you know, and not just like your one-on-one relationships like marriages and boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives. This is everything. The seventh house is also the space in which we find what I've come to understand as, so they call it open enemies. And the way that I understand this is that means your competitors. So people that are competing against you. Some of them can be friends, some of them can be colleagues, some of them can be, you know, people that literally just want to steal something from you. So, you know, you're going to have to watch out for that over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. Not to freak you out. But that being said, remember the Moon card is also about our fears, right? So this week, maybe there is an aspect of you that is coming up for review that is kind of saying this is something that you're afraid of that you haven't necessarily acknowledged or really stared into at this moment in time. In that regard, I like the Moon card. Outside of that, I'm not a big fan of this card, I have to say, just because it's murky, and very often when it shows up, it means that there is something that's unresolved. All right. So for your actions and options this week, you have the Nine of Pentacles. This is gorgeous, especially with the Moon card, right? So on a personal note, in some way, shape or form, this could be a week where you are observing your own patterns. This is a really good week to do something like journaling. It's a really good week to speak to friends that you can trust, people that you know can be a sounding board for some of your thoughts, your ideas, some of the things that you might want to create. This may also be a week where you are feeling a bit more indulgent than usual, and I'm not just talking about, you know, food or alcohol or sex or, you know, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever your vices are. You may just feel more indulgent in general. So this could be a really great week for you to get into this energy of, you know, embellishing yourself in some way, whether this is getting your hair done, whether it's you know, like it, whatever it is, that in some way, shape or form, this is about you wanting to really make yourself look and feel good, which is wonderful. There is a sense here as well, though, that if you are willing to do that work of looking this week at some of the stuff that comes up about your own patterns, your own cycles, there can be monumental movements made over the course of this week. Like, you know, on those internal planes, you could, the work that you do on the internal planes this week could go very, very far in its ripples. All right. So be open to that, be prepared for it. The other thing is as well, by observing your own patterns and cycles this week, you can, you know, that's how we predict the future. It's how astrology works. It's even how tarot works. Tarot is a bit more of a psychic art. And one of my theories, working hypotheses, is that we don't necessarily predict the future so much as read people's patterns. And when we shuffle the cards, we sort. So as I shuffled the cards here today for you, Scorpio, I sorted them. Actually, what I was doing was sorting them into an order that aligns with the Scorpio energy, right? So, and it's funny because I have a few Scorpio people in my life that are, you know, really wonderful people, and I hold on to their thoughts, energies and ideals, and that somehow taps into the cosmos and the scorpionic energy. I could go on about this for hours and hours on end, but I won't, just because otherwise I'll bore you. But anyway, there's a little rundown of some of the stuff, some of the ways that I feel like this works. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Four of Swords. This week, it's funny because Virgo had a very similar message to this. Not Virgo, I think it was Taurus. Look at that, look at the link, right? Now, what I said to Taurus was, when it comes to work, when it comes to some of your bigger ideas, your bigger goals, the things that you're really working towards in the professional sphere, this week you've got to keep things close to your chest. The Four of Swords always suggests pulling back. In a way, it's kind of like a mini ode to the hermit, if you like, in a very, very different way, albeit. But this week, whatever you are working on, whatever you are professionally putting your time, effort and energy into, this week I would keep those things under wraps. It's not ripe for the sharing, and the chances are this is one of those moments, like if you're a pagan, if you're of the pagan orientation, there are certain things that you don't leave out for everybody to eye and pour when they come over to your place, right? This could be one of those weeks. Now, for those of you that are employed by somebody else, whatever the slowdown is that takes place this week, this could be, maybe there's something that you feel is brewing at the office, at work, with the colleagues, etc. You will have that knowledge when it's time for you to have it. And unfortunately, if you push for it this week, you may come across as like a bit of a tempestuous child. So it's really important that you let things unfold for you rather than kind of forcing your way in, if that makes sense. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, I would this week give yourself some time and space from your work, from your business. Give yourself some time and space to relax and to pull back from things. And this isn't about abandoning ship or anything like that. It's actually about giving yourself some breathing space. You know, it's like one of those things where when you're working on something and you can't figure it out for the life of you, so you go away, you have a break, you have a nap or whatever, and then when you come back in, like your brain's worked out all the clunks, you know, that were in there. This could very much well be a week where stepping away from your business will actually it will shunt you forward in the way that you're hoping. When it comes to those of you that are retired or no longer working, this week could be very intense for all Scorpios in general. And this is one of those weeks where it isn't everybody else, it's you, right? You're going to be the one you're always the one that's feeling at a deep level regardless, but you're going to be the one that's a little bit more sensitive this week. And how people relate to that, they might kind of, as you withdraw, you might find that people draw closer, and it's like, okay, I'm trying to get away from you, stop coming closer. So just keep that in mind. For your love and relations, you've got the Six of Wands. This is beautiful, especially underneath the Nine of Pentacles. For those of you that are partnered, married or in long-term commitments, this bodes very, very nicely. This is time spent out in nature, possibly, maybe some sort of mini vacation, maybe some time away, maybe a break of some sort where you're just kicking back and relaxing. This also suggests as well, for those select few of you that may have had challenges in relationships, this suggests that you're turning a corner with those, and that whatever work you've done on the marriage, the partnership or the relationship, it now starts to pay off. This is the week where you're going to see the results from that. I will say this, now that you're on a winning streak with your relationship, you have to keep it going. It's kind of like you've reignited the sparks, and now you've got to, you know, give it a good fan to turn it into a raging fire. For those of you that are single, I kind of like this. I'm going to be really honest with you, just because you've got that Moon card there and the Nine of Pentacles, someone could really catch your eye this week, right? And I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure this person is the right person for you. I'm not entirely sure this person is going to bring the best traits out in you. But that being said, it looks like you could have a lot of fun with somebody who's just, you know, somebody that, so I'm getting red-faced now. Maybe somebody that doesn't necessarily bring out your best traits, but definitely excites you. You know, there's fun, there's freedom, there's frolics, there's sexuality, there's sensuality, there's a lot of fun and vibrancy there. It's not necessarily sustainable, all right? And if you can treat it that way as just like a, you know what, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to enjoy myself, but not look for anything more than that, then this could be great for you. You know, it could be the letting down of the hair or the, you know, taking off of the socks if you're a guy, that you need, right? For your money and materials, you have the Temperance card. This right underneath the Four of Swords. This week, no big purchases, please. If something, now the reason I say this is the Temperance card can see us bought into something that sometimes isn't necessarily for us. You got that Four of Swords there, which kind of, it's not that it, yeah, no, it does worry me actually. I'm just going to call it how I see it. It worries me because this might be someone saying, this is a great opportunity. Put your money here. It's going to go amazing. And that might be the case, or it might also be the case that you don't have all the facts around this and that this person also doesn't have all the facts around this. So it might not even be that they're deceiving you on purpose. It might literally just be that what they're telling you, they genuinely believe is the truth, and it may not be. Or there might be other facts or factors attached to this. So no big purchases, no big financial purchases this week. Unless you absolutely have to. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, if your car suddenly dies and then you think, well, without a car, Raf, I can't get to and from work, then obviously, do you know what I mean? And maybe that's the case, right? Especially because it's an eclipse, so it's a wild card energy. So just be on your toes this week. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this is actually very nice. The Hermit card, the Temperance card suggests that you could either work with or align with a healthcare professional. Now, there's a few ways this could happen. This could be a healthcare professional that's got a really alternative mindset, that's into alternative methods, and so will blend the two schools. Allopathic medicine, when it works in harmony with alternative medicine, is the most powerful mix that you can get because it uses science and magic, right? And when you blend the two together, you get Thor. I mean, you know, mind out of the gutter, Raph, for God's sake. All right. Now, that being said, when it comes to your home and environment, you've got this with the Four of Swords, which tells me that your tendency this week, there is a sense here, because you've got the Moon card as well, there's a sense here that you're, I almost want to say like nursing yourself, but on the internal level. And so you might need that space, and you might have people kind of like say, you know, oh, I'm going to come over. And you're like, actually, I'd rather you didn't right now, because there's just a lot that you're working on these internal planes. All right, so for your eclipse message, you have three, so I'm just going to pick the top one. You have the Gate 17 and Opinions. I thought this card said Options at one point. I got that completely wrong, but it was a Mercury retrograde, so I'll cut myself some slack. Is there another one here? Yes, there is. 5 in total then you got. Okay, so you've got the Gates 17 and Options, and the Gate 6 and Resolve. So the Resolve card tells me that this eclipse is likely to bring something to a completion for you, which is great. But it's going to be a satisfactory completion. It's going to be the answer or the piece of the puzzle that you've been looking for. And then for the Gate 17 and Opinions, this is where you're going to... The full moon is likely to present you with a situation where you need to give the challenge, right? Where it's like you can't really step back. You are going to have to say that thing that you have, you know, wanted to say but thought better of it and all the rest of it. There's something here this week that in order to find the resolve or to find the resolution to something, the challenge that you might have is that you have to say that thing or do that thing that you've been putting off, that you've been holding back from. Doesn't mean full out war. You know, nobody ever needs to see a Scorpio at full out war. It's not pretty. It doesn't have to be that, but it does have to be you kind of, you know, making something very clear, done. All right. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.